Raptors settle back and enjoy it. A night of Cavalier hoops coming your way out of downtown Toronto on Fox Sports Net. And that Cavalier offense really looking to pick up where they started off in that opening quarter in Atlanta. Jeff McInnes will turn the corner and float it home off the Carlos Boozer assist.
A little surprise, Vince Carter going to be checking LeBron James starting out, so he doesn't have to worry about Eric Williams in the post. But down the road here, LeBron should be working against Carter and taking the ball to the basket.
Chris Bosh from 19 feet away settling for that deep jumper. Now Jeff McInnes orchestrating the Cavalier offense. LeBron James too strong on his first delivery of the night. Cavaliers got out to the big 20-point lead the other night. Vince Carter misfiring as he stepped back. But Manny, that second quarter for the Cavaliers, the bench came in and really not able to, let alone play Atlanta even, gave up the entire 20-point lead off the hands of LeBron James. Turnover Cavalier.
Michael, I think in these remaining games of the regular season, of course, you're battling for a playoff position, but I got to have the feeling that Paul Silas is going to shorten that rotation to try to keep his key guys on the floor longer periods of time to mix them in with the bench players.
Really only has been going with 8 as of late. That jumper is right there for Danielle Marshall, who averages 17 points and almost 11 rebounds per game since joining this Toronto ball club.
You've got to be aware of him on the perimeter. He's not going to get too much done inside. Not that he can't play inside, but against Z and Boozer, just not a lot of opportunities in there for Danielle Marshall.
Carlos Boozer came up short. This is Vince Carter to the offensive end. Carter averaging 21 a game, and Carter will launch and lace the jumper.
It makes it look so easy. That is not a high percentage shot by any means, but Vince knows he's got the green light. He can take that anytime he wants. It's almost a blessing when he starts making some of those outside shots, then he tends to take mostly them.
Adrunas Ilgauskas was backing down Chris Bosh, and Eric Williams will drill that three.
It appeared that Eric Williams' offense, which took a vacation there for a while, came back and then it went away again in Atlanta.
Yeah, 3 points for Williams, although Matty, a couple of big defensive plays late. Stripped the basketball from Jason Collier. Again, Carter will settle for that deep step back with LeBron James right up into him. Cavaliers would love it if Carter kept taking those all night. This is Adrunas Ilgauskas, and Z will knock down the jumper as that offensive game from the man in the middle stays at a premium.
Chris Bosh, the very thin center, rookie out of Georgia Tech. Happy to see Z on the perimeter. At least he knows he's not going to get beat up physically.
And that shot clock will come to 8. Mil Palacio had to regather, trying to use the Bosh pick. Cavaliers will love that if Mil Palacio, Rod Strickland when he comes in, and Dion Glover settle for outside jumpers all night.
Well, really, Toronto does not have an inside game unless Vince Carter wanted to go in and post up.
LeBron James trying to power over Michael Curry. Curry, known as one of the top, Matty, on-the-ball defenders in the NBA. And that's the first personal foul on Michael Curry. Now let's take a look at our Cintas team uniforms tonight, presented by the Uniform People. Cavaliers, of course, in their wine and gold. That is the top uniform seller with the colors that have taken fancy of every NBA fan. And, of course, the Toronto Raptors in their home whites trimmed in the purple and black as LeBron James connects on a couple of free throws. Matty, LeBron went to the line and hit 11 of 13 in Atlanta.
And again, when you can get to the line that much, you don't necessarily have to have a good outside shooting game. Always good to see LeBron going to the basket looking for contact.
Off the spin, Chris Bosh on the deck, lost it. Boozer had it into the hands of Danielle Marshall. Cannot triple. Danielle Marshall at 42%, 7th in the NBA from long distance. Carlos Boozer wants a post up. McInnes will find him. Carlos will head to the rack. Oh, is that manly with a real attitude over Chris Bosh.
And the Cavalier bench, I couldn't believe how easy Carlos Boozer made that look. Catch and go and slam.
Now Carter will trigger, and it came up side of the iron.
Toronto will take a lot of bad outside shots, but in so doing, they're always back on defense. Not going to give you too many fast break opportunities.
Adrunas Ilgauskas will wheel and then find Boozer, who went glass as he ducked inside Donyell Marshall.
Overpowering Carlos Boozer. Kevin O'Neill has seen enough. Can't be happy at all with the shots his team has been taking.
Cavaliers by 9, and Carlos Boozer just delivered up a posterization on Chris Bosh.
Caught Donyell Marshall on the high side. Nothing Bosh could do. Just
discussing March Madness as well, all on the Best Damn Sports Show period coming up tonight. Rod Strickland on very early to replace Milt Palacio. This is Donyell Marshall. Marshall came up very short. Has barely grazed the iron. The Cavaliers, 5 of 7 for 71%. Toronto just 2 of 9. Cavalier offense looking sharp here in the early going.
Well, looks like anytime Carlos Boozer catches inside the free throw line area, he's going to be able to get a layup, or Zydrunas Ilgauskas will get himself a lay-in.
You and I were speaking to Leo Rautins, the fine television color analyst of the Raptors, and Mehdi, we were discussing the top 4 and 5s, power forwards and centers in the East, and I thought you made quite a point with regard to Carlos Boozer and Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
Well, wait till Vince does a 360 there, and I guess it was a 180. And well, the point I was making, you're talking about Indiana, best record in the league, certainly the best team in the Eastern Conference, and you take their 4-5 man, Jermaine O'Neal and Greg Foster. Who would you rather have, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Carlos Boozer, or those other two? Not taking anything at all away from Jermaine O'Neal. He's a legitimate all-star caliber and Eastern Conference MVP, no question about that.
I respect Leo Rautins' opinion immensely. He agreed.
But we're talking about duos.
Yeah, that's Vince Carter. Carter got that step in the paint, and that rainbow went down for Vince Carter as the Raptors get off the schneid after the Cavaliers had hit them with a 13-3 run. The Cavalier lead is 9 about halfway through this opening quarter. Cavaliers looking for 5 in a row tonight. Ilgauskas now will fade away and fill it up.
As he felt a 3-second lane count going on there and kind of rushed that shot, but if he had not, it would have been a violation.
Well, the Cavaliers playing at such a high premium to start games during the course of having won 8 of the last 10. Oh, their swing found Curry, and he went to the hoop of the left hand.
To follow up on that, Michael, Cavaliers average a little over 25 points a game in the first quarter. That's the best in the Eastern Conference. The Raptors, the worst in the league. Around 20.
Cavaliers right now just inside the halfway point of this quarter, on pace for a potential another 30-point opening stanza. Again, Ilgauskas wheeling on Chris Bosh, and Z is going to get the roll. He touched it up on his step in the paint.
It really hasn't been a physical whooping that Zydrunas is putting on Chris Bosh. He's making a lot of finesse shots. Bosh at the free throw line getting a little forearm shipper.
Zydrunas playing such high-caliber basketball. Bosh had a putback, but Boozer just racked up his 5th board. LeBron James, fine look to Zydrunas Ilgauskas. He will hurt that iron, and the Cavaliers continue to just blister Toronto early.
Pretty fast break, and that's the first time the Raptors have not gotten back on defense, as a little Olay, matador defense by Vince Carter in the backcourt, opened that up.
Eric Williams with a rip away on Carter. Again, the Cavaliers push. LeBron James with a catch, and he fouled Boozer, who mashed it. Paul Silas and the Cavalier bench up extolling the virtues of their basketball team. And Kevin O'Neill's got to get a Toronto timeout, as the Cavaliers are coming out again with their A-plus game.
Well, Michael, as we know, a little bit early for a knockout punch, but certainly this has been impressive, getting some fast break opportunities against a team that normally doesn't give those up.
It's a 15-point Cavalier lead when we come back. Cavaliers started 1 of 3 for the floor. Matty Sets 9 for 9. Rather easy when you're throwing them down on the rim.
Well, Vince Carter just went the other way in the backcourt, opened up that first fast break, and then the second one. This is McGinnis, and then the creativity and ability of LeBron James just to catch in the air and make the right play to Carlos Boozer.
And a whistle off the basketball as Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Carlos Boozer have combined to go 8 of 9 from the floor tonight, as the Cavaliers have hit their last 9 after the 1 for 3 start. That foul went on Eric Williams. Rod Strickland, as we mentioned, got in early, and now Manny, here comes Robert Archibald, the second-year man at 6'11", young fella out of Illinois.
I feel your knee shaking.
Yeah.
Why?
You felt the twitch, huh? Robert Archibald got the look from Rod
He
Strickland.
put me in my place right there. Robert Archibald, nice job making himself available underneath the basket. Now with Rod Strickland on the floor, the Toronto Raptors will at least play some basketball in terms of he'll run pick and rolls, he'll penetrate, and make some good passes.
Cavaliers went over the top to Zadrunas. Boozer falling away, got it up the rim. Was looking for a whistle that was not forthcoming. Now Strickland will push it and lost the basketball. And Ilgauskas went down. And that basketball will go back to Toronto on a Cavalier turnover. Z lost his footing. Kevin Ollie is going to check in to give Jeff McGinnis a blow.
Yeah, it just slips right out of the hands, and I don't know if Strickland pushed, or I think he actually stepped on his foot and then lost his balance.
Going by. I think maybe LeBron might have clipped him.
Everybody got a piece of it.
Now that last foul was charged to Jeff McGinnis, and now Eric Williams will get the foul there on a hold. So we mentioned they changed it from Williams to McGinnis on the previous foul. That's Jeff McGinnis' second personal. That's why Kevin Ollie checks in, and now Eric Williams has picked up his first of the night.
And finally, Vince Carter posting up at about 21 feet. That's being pushed out by Eric Williams, but now Carter's thinking about going to the basket a little bit more.
Found Archibald, Rod Strickland to tee it up, bury it.
See, I don't understand. Vince Carter has all this talent, yet he comes out just like a day at the park, launching jump shot after jump shot, not running back on defense, puts his team in a hole, and now he's deciding he'll play basketball the right way. It's almost too late.
Eric Williams looking at Zadrunas Ilgauskas. Shot clock at 5. Z against Robert Archibald. Zadrunas with a wheeling hook that's right there. Zadrunas Ilgauskas 6 of 6 from the floor.
And you would say, well, Kevin O'Neal's a good coach. Why wouldn't he say something to Carter to not let him play that way? All Vince Carter has to do is raise an eyebrow and make Kevin O'Neal's out of his building.
Archibald was standing right under the rim and instead dealt out to Vince Carter, who strokes a 3. I don't know if Archibald realized there was no Cavalier near him.
He very rarely plays, so he's just getting his feet wet. Every time he steps on the floor, brand new experiences for that young fella.
Not a particularly good shot from LeBron James. Behind the glass is now Strickland will bounce out. Carter again wants another look at 3. It rattled out, but Carter got it back. Now Daniel Marshall to load it up. That's rebound number 6 for Carlos Boozer. LeBron James, Cavalier open floor. James turned the corner. Boozer on a left-handed putback. Give him another board, Matty, and his 8th point of the night.
That's that overpowering this team inside. Just force the ball to the basket. They just do not have the height or the width to keep the Cavaliers from going to the basket.
Strickland found Archibald, and the youngster out of Illinois is going to get to the free throw line. That Cavalier foul is going to go on Zadrunas Ilgauskas as we take a look at our Jared's Galleria of Jewelry. Shining star. This Cavalier offense in the opening quarter has us wanting to be tongue-tied. It's been so profound. But speaking of profound, LeBron James, his rookie rankings, of course, exceptional. And 34 against Atlanta. Matty, 11th time he's been over 30 points on the year.
Again, when LeBron either has some kind of a hot hand during the course of the game or gets to the free throw line like he did against Atlanta the other night, he's capable of going for 30. But that's not the true measure of what LeBron James can do for this team. And once again, it's that complete game that he can give you besides just scoring. He's got other scorers on this team, and Zadrunas Ilgauskas and Carlos Boozer.
Daniel Marshall getting a blow. Zadrunas Ilgauskas getting a respite. As you see, he and Paul Silas chatting about it. Z, how about this for efficiency? 6 for 6 for the floor with a couple of boards and a couple of assists in his 10 minutes of work. Zadrunas with 12. Carlos Boozer wants a double-double in the opening quarter. 8 points and 7 boards. Kevin Ollie got rejected by the 17-year veteran Rod Strickland as he ran off that slip screen underneath the bucket.
I got a feeling Rod Strickland does not have too many block shots in his career. He's got a grand total of 1 coming into this game.
Cavaliers with 15 on the shot clock, and Boozer came up short. So Morris Peterson, who was part of that national championship squad with Mateen Cleaves at Michigan State some 4 years ago, but he has really been struggling from three-point land. Now Strickland trying to work over Kevin Ollie. That's a tough jumper that goes for Rod Strickland.
It was good defense initially by Kevin Ollie, fighting over that high pick to stay with Strickland, but Strickland is a tough shot maker and a tough shot taker once he gets inside 15 feet.
Now Toronto's back within 8. Kevin Ollie got the open jumper rejected, but Boozer cleaned it up. Shot clock at 4. Ollie's going to load it up again, and he will lace it. Big knockdown, Kevin Ollie. Kevin Ollie, who played just 3 minutes and had but 1 assist in the Cavaliers' win in Atlanta. As we hit the 45-second mark of the opening quarter. And by the way, Rod Strickland had a huge game last night. Bosch thought about it on Boozer. Georgia Tech over Duke, and Georgia Tech will win that mini war as Bosch knocked down the jumper.
A tough shot by Bosch, challenged nicely by Carlos Boozer. Has had himself a fine rookie season as the 4th player taken in this draft. I think a lot of people surprised he's held up this well physically at the center position.
LeBron James will step back now. Came up a little short. Boozer on Eric Williams rather on the offensive glass. And Williams is going to get to the free throw line as Williams and Tony Battie, who checked in for Zydrunas Ilgauskas, joined Carlos Boozer and working on the offensive glass for the Cavaliers.
Now this Cavalier team all season long, the best rebounding team in the league. Both ends of the floor do a very good job. And that wears people down. A lot of times you get offensive rebounds because you don't shoot the ball well, but the Cavaliers have been very good about with their offense, sensing when shots are going up, anticipating before the shot's released, and that's when they get good position, they get good opportunities.
74% as a team are the Cavaliers from the free throw line as Eric Williams will connect on 1 of 2. Give Williams 4 here in the opening quarter. Cavalier lead is 9. Another 30-point opening quarter for this Cavalier ball club. Now Vince Carter. Gave it up to Morris Peterson. He's got to jack up that long 3, and that will end the opening 12 minutes. Zydrunas Ilgauskas 6 for 6 for 12 points, and Carlos Boozer close to a double-double. 8 points, 8 rebounds in the opening quarter. Cavaliers with another 30-point beginning as they opened up as much as a 15-point lead. It's at 9 right now. Second quarter out of Toronto coming up next. Went into May that year. But again, remember Mike Fratello's ball club would lose 8 of the last 9. They lost Sean Kemp, Revan Knight, and Danny Ferry to injury. And the Cavaliers wound up 21 and 29 and out of the playoff chase. But it has been that long since he's even been in the playoff posturing this late in the year.
And I don't remember exactly, Michael, but I'm sure there weren't 6 teams 2 games apart between the 6th spot and the 11th spot, which means on any given night you can go from out of the playoffs up into a very high seeding.
All right, we start quarter number 2. Jerome Moiso on the floor, and Moiso will stick that jumper as he checks in and is going to join Chris Bosh to get another big body. Dion Glover also on the floor with Rod Strickland and Morris Peterson for the Toronto Raptors. Cavaliers going with DeJuan Wagner along with Kevin Ollie, Tony Battie, Carlos Boozer, and LeBron James. DeJuan Wagner fire that triple that's right there, and did Wani need that as both he and Kevin Ollie got real short minutes in Atlanta.
I'm going to be curious to see now. Paul Silas to start this second quarter has Carlos Boozer and LeBron James staying on the floor with 3 bench players. If Paul can keep at least 2 of his top 3 on the floor at all times, that'll really take pressure off the bench.
Kevin Ollie on a push out, gave it up to Wagner. Found Boozer inside. Carlos had it raked away. Last touch, Carlos Boozer, and it will go back to the Toronto Raptors. We'll take a look at our Dodge first quarter numbers. Cavaliers burning up at 59%. Look at the points in the paint and what Zydrunas Ilgauskas did offensively.
Well, and Z wasn't really the guy doing the damage in the paint. He was doing his from the perimeter. It was mostly Carlos Boozer strong to the hole and a couple of fast break baskets.
Well, Rod Strickland had a wide open jumper and gave it up instead to Dion Glover. LeBron James, superior athleticism. Now LeBron will turn the corner. Folks, get a real good look at it, because those are a lot of things you just don't see at any level of this game of basketball. And he just went straight up and picked Moisa.
Yeah, takeaway right there, right out of the, almost out of the grasp, and then forcing the action as he should in the open floor, at least getting to the free throw line. An off first quarter for LeBron James, 0 for 4 from the field.
LeBron looking to complete the pair from the free throw line. He will do that. The free throw accuracy has been steadily moving up the ladder for LeBron James. 76%, close to 77% in this his rookie season, and the Cavaliers are up by a dozen again. Dion Glover signed by this ball club after he was released by Atlanta. It's going to be a reach-in on Kevin Ollie, who held Dion Glover as he tried to get to the rim.
Michael, you look at this Toronto team, kind of other than they got off to a good start this year, and then they did have injuries to Vince Carter, missed 9 games. They lost all of them, but they just don't have a lot of talent. It's amazing they are in this playoff race.
They're hanging around. The loss last night at Indiana in overtime, and they got the Pacers coming back from their West Coast swing. Chris Bosh will come up firing and draining another jumper.
That's probably really who Chris Bosh is a tall forward in this league, not with three-point range, but can go out to about 17, 18 feet and occasionally go inside, but he's not cut out to be a center in the NBA, even in the Eastern Conference.
Tony Battie got it back from DeJuan Wagner. What was different about that, Matty? They inverted things. Wagner down underneath
Man
the rim.
bites dog. Inside-outside game.
With the 6'2" DeJuan Wagner dishing from underneath the rim. Bosh again is going to load it up, and Chris Bosh continues to find the mark from outside.
Little grimace by Battie, almost saying to himself, I didn't think he had that kind of range. He's going to have to get out there and challenge that shot now. And Bosh does have enough ability to put a ball on the floor and go to the basket.
Now LeBron James will come off that pick, looking to take Morris Peterson. It's going to be an offensive foul on LeBron. He lowered that right shoulder. We have seen during the course of what, Matty, the last month or so, that LeBron is starting to pick up more charges when he puts the ball on the floor and looks to create some space.
You know, Michael, I don't mind the charges like that from LeBron James. I'd rather see him be physical, use his power, use his strength to try to take the ball to the basket. The occasional charge, I don't worry about that at all.
All right, now Dion Glover wheeling on DeJuan Wagner. There have been a lot of two guards of late that have tried to post up, and successfully DeJuan Wagner.
And now Paul Silas and taking LeBron James and Carlos Boozer out, but coming back with Zydrunas Ilgauskas. So he's got at least one of the top 3.
Lee Nailon on the floor for the Cavaliers. This is game number 5 for Nailon. Instant offense, instant heat. Lee Nailon off the bench as his first jumper of the night is right there.
But teams in this league would kill for any kind of a low post presence. The Cavaliers have a whole host of fellas who can go inside.
Dion Glover will step back, and that tough jumper goes down for Glover.
The Raptors hanging around, and then some.
Cavalier lead down to 8.
Because of their ability to knock down these middle distance jump shots.
Nailon had it raked away momentarily.
Cavaliers have to get up and put more pressure on defense, force the action, force the Toronto, put the ball on the floor, and go toward the basket.
Kevin Ollie to stroke that jumper. Shot clock was expiring, but DeJuan Wagner found him.
Cavaliers have 2 shot blockers on the floor right now in Battie and Zydrunas Ilgauskas. No reason to give up outside shots.
Dion Glover. Look at the ball reversal. This is Rod Strickland. He'll set the seams, standing all by himself. Maybe too much by himself.
Yeah, wanted somebody to come out.
The shooters don't like that, do they, Parker?
And get at least in the area code. Or zip code.
Yeah.
One of those codes.
Lee Nailon. That came up a little bit too strong. And Nailon starts 1 for 2 off the bench. Strickland open floor before he got shut off by DeJuan Wagner. Cavaliers have made that switch quickly. This is Daniel Marshall. Tried to step through and threw it over the hoop.
Somewhat intimidated by Zydrunas Ilgauskas. Marshall tried to do too much with that and rush things. He should be thinking about trying to take Z away from the basket.
4 members of the Cavalier bench on the floor with Zydrunas Ilgauskas. Over the top for Ilgauskas. And Zydrunas stays perfect. Z 7 for 7 now on that delivery in the paint.
And Kevin O'Neal like Jeff Van Gundy before him, and of course Van Gundy under Pat Riley, they like to front the post. The last thing they want to do is have to double team players inside.
Juwan Wagner's going to get whistled for that foul on Dion Glover, who was fading on the baseline. And Glover will be at the free throw line when we come back. So the Cavalier bench already much proficient than the other night in Atlanta. Now the Cavaliers and the Raptors here this evening. And Raptors, Maddie, last night, as we talked about it, caught Indiana coming back in their first night of going 4-0, by the way, on the West Coast. Played them even. Vince Carter had a great look to win it, and misfired on a 17-foot jumper, and then in overtime, Indiana went 8-0 to start the overtime, was pretty much lights out.
And that would have been a humongous win for Toronto to beat Indiana on the road, because that's certainly one that I don't think any team in the East expects to get, because the Pacers are very tough on their home floor.
That's Juwan Wagner slashing and then elevating on his floater, and Juwan Wagner with 5 points off the bench. He hit that three, and now the runner.
Well, Cavaliers were 59% in the first quarter. Start this second quarter, 6 for 7.
Dion Glover came up short. Zydrunas Ilgauskas on the glass. Kevin Ollie wants to push it. I just love the tempo of the Cavaliers offense. They're doing it both ways. They push when they have to, but they love to play that grinded out half court with Ilgauskas and Bruce.
Well, both Kevin Ollie and Jeff McGinnis have done a good job all season long of pushing that tempo, getting it up quickly. Nothing lazy about getting the ball in the front court.
Juwan Wagner's got it going on here. He has just used up Morris Peterson on the second straight trip up the floor.
Playing like a man fighting for more PT.
There you go. I was just thinking the exact same thing. Now Morris Peterson will duck inside Wagner. Kind of a wild delivery for Peterson off the back iron. Ollie again pushing. Ilgauskas will run the floor, and Zydrunas got held by Milt Palacio. He and Robert Archibald there, and it's Palacio, says Blaine Reichelt, on the Toronto foul. Timeout on the floor. The Cavalier lead. They matched their biggest of the night. It's back to 15 again. Come on back with us. This is our Aflac trivia question tonight. Out of the Air Canada Center, who holds the Cavaliers franchise record for most assists in the game? Cavaliers franchise record, most assists in the game. You think about that. We'll give you a couple of minutes, and then we'll see if my partner, I bet you he's got this one.
I got a couple of guesses.
I bet you do. Paul Silas, every button he's been pushing, you know the feeling. When all the buttons you do,
when they go right?
Yeah, when every button you push, every lever you pull comes up aces, and your ball club is in this kind of groove at 8-2 over the last 10 with 4 wins in a row.
It usually happens when you kind of stay out of the way, let the players do it. But I like what Paul has done with keeping. We talked about it before. LeBron James or Carlos Boozer, when they went out, you got Z back in there. That means a lot. When Cavaliers this season have had so many problems when you go with a total second unit. It's just when you can keep your best players on the floor for long periods of time, it makes it so much easier.
And Jeff McGinnis is going to get to the free throw line. He wanted to. You and I have talked a lot about in Zydrunas Ilgauskas. I've been in conversation with him about the repost, Maddie, and Z was saying it's something that he said it with a smile, but he said to me, hey, you know, you've been around here as long as I have, I'm not used to that with the point guards I've played with us in his Cavalier offense.
Yeah, well, again, and it's a two-way street, as I said to you before, to Z to throw it out, but, Z's personality is not demanding. Again, if he were, hey, when I throw it back out, I want the darn thing back in, but he's got to reestablish and get tougher, better position on it. A lot of times he just throws it out and stands there.
That is the Danielle Marshall specialty, as we said, 7th in the NBA. Tony Batiste was trying to close out, but not before Marshall will stroke another three.
And that got Paul Silas upset because, as you know, that's what they talked about. He wants Tony Batiste to get up and force Marshall to put the ball on the floor. He's got Z waiting for him underneath the basket.
A hot Juwan Wagner will settle for a long-range three. Off that back heel. Run out Morris Peterson. Peterson all the way to the rim.
First time the Toronto Raptors have been able to get out and run and get a fast break basket. Nice play by Palacio on the throw ahead.
The Cavalier lead a dozen. Eric Williams looking at Ilgauskas. Now Jeff McGinnis gave it up to Tony Batiste. Z is just buried down in the paint, but came up short with his jump hook. He had Chris Bosh just pinned down there.
Yeah, well, he was working awful hard to get that position, and the Cavaliers showed good patience to eventually get it to him there.
Bosh wheeling and dealing, and is going to get the push on Zydrunas Ilgauskas. That'll be number 2 on Z. And we're going to get a timeout inside the 4-minute mark. Carlos Boozer, LeBron James will be ready to return to the hardwood for the Cavaliers. Don't go away. Wine and Gold by a dozen here in downtown Toronto.
Totally forgot that. What happened to Footsie and Lenny?
John Bagley had a couple of 20-assist games as well. Now Chris Bosh trying to muscle up inside. Williams and Ilgauskas did not allow Bosh to finish. As we said, LeBron James and Carlos Boozer back, starting 5 on the floor. James in traffic. LeBron keeping it alive. Eric Williams with the offensive board. Cavaliers with a new 24-second clock.
Yeah, Paul Silas took that timeout. Unhappy with a couple of defensive sequences, one by Battie and one by Ilgauskas, having to go out on the floor and try to guard Bosh. Wanted to settle things down, and now he's got his starters back.
9 on the shot clock. Marshall slapped it away. The Cavaliers with 49 points on the board. Here with still 3:21 left in this first half. 30-point opening quarter, but hey, Cavaliers got terrific production out of the bench. DeJuan Wagner with 7. Kevin Ollie with a couple of field goal hits with 4. Lee Nailon and Tony Battie. Ilgauskas from deep, and he will bury it. Zydrunas continues to just shoot it so well.
McGinnis does a good job on those pick and rolls, either turning the corner, getting into the lane and creating, or in that case, just a little pick and pop for Zydrunas Ilgauskas, who really has the range tonight, shooting the jumper nicely.
Third helper for Jeff McGinnis. Now Vince Carter, wheeling and dealing. Looked like he walked. Daniel Marshall came up short. In the hands of Jeff McGinnis to take the Cavaliers to the offensive end. Found Z, run into the hoop, and Zydrunas will go glass.
Just enough spin. Z felt he got hit on the play. Anytime Zydrunas Ilgauskas or Carlos Boozer wheel through the lane, I just see everybody's just pull apart. Get out of the way.
Chris Bosh to unload. That putback is going to go down from Daniel Marshall, who snuck inside Carlos Boozer and Eric Williams. LeBron James wanted to operate baseline and got a hold from Morris Peterson. As Michael Curry and Rod Strickland will return for Milt Palacio and Morris Peterson. LeBron James 0 for 6 without a field goal make in the first half, and here the Cavaliers are shooting 61% and with 53 points on the board.
And so no reason to really force things on the part of LeBron James. Just play the game, wait for it to come to you a little bit.
Jeff McGinnis, pure, stroking the face-up jumper. McGinnis has 6 to go along with those 4 assists I mentioned.
McGinnis talking to everybody, saying, hey, don't go underneath the screen on me. He said, I can make that jump shot.
Yes, he can. The tape doesn't lie. Bosh showed it on Ilgauskas. Chris Bosh with a nice delivery inside.
I used to have a guy play for me by the name of Scott Skiles. He used to do that all the time. He turned to the other coach and say, don't you have anybody that can guard me?
Pick and fade for Zydrunas Ilgauskas. Carlos Boozer on the glass. Boozer got it rejected as he tried to take it up strong. Now Strickland will find Bosh underneath the hole. Ilgauskas got a piece of it and came away with a basketball. LeBron James, hard through the paint. LeBron James at his flying and floating best.
Took a deep breath and huffed and puffed, and nobody was going to stop that, as LeBron was going to do whatever he had to do, and he could get very creative the closer he gets to that rim.
Strickland lost it off his foot, but that is going to be personal foul number 3 on Jeff McGinnis as Ted Bernhardt got him on a hole.
Fast break opportunity for the Raptors. Semi-break really as Strickland made the nice pass, but you could see Bosh actually shuffled his feet, knowing Zydrunas Ilgauskas, who was in the neighborhood. Z just stood straight up, and it turned into a fast break at the other end, and LeBron James getting his first field goal.
Zydrunas Ilgauskas, there it is, 35 rejections in his last 10, now 7th in the NBA, and Z had the swat there on Chris Bosh. Carter will turn the corner. Air Canada, that was spectacular, and Vince Carter is wont to do that. And Zydrunas Ilgauskas very displeased with the call from Blaine Reichelt.
Yeah, well,
got a technical as well, didn't
he? Z felt he just stood straight up, and the replay showed that he did. If there was any contact, it was down low. But a couple things here. First of all, yes, it was probably a missed call, but Z's got to let it go. He's having himself a terrific game. And the Riddler, Blaine Reichelt, he's got to be smarter than that. Just all he's got to do is walk away from Z. He's refereed enough games to know that Z does a little huffing and puffing, and then it stops. So
I have
a little blame to go around.
Yes, I appreciate your sense of humor, but I have to encourage you to. Yeah,
you never said that before.
For 7 years together, partner. I have to encourage you to please explain to our loyal viewers.
Frank Gorshin.
The Riddler.
Frank Gorshin from the Batman.
There you go. For Blaine Reichelt. That's a nickname for Blaine around the NBA.
Yeah, with affection.
Very affectionate. Absolutely. All right, Vince Carter has pulled Toronto back to within 12. Not anymore. And one. LeBron James too strong down underneath that hoop. With the foul. That's going to go on Vince Carter as LeBron had position.
Second field goal now for LeBron James, using that baseline screen from Eric Williams to cut off hard and catch Vince Carter on his back. Vince is not going to be the most diligent defender in the first three and a half quarters. He tries to save it for the end and try to pull games out. The odd thing is sometimes he can do it because he's got tremendous scoring ability.
This is a 60-point first half for the Cavaliers. Donyell Marshall gave it right back to Carter, but it never got there. Now the Cavaliers have about 7 seconds differentiating game and shot clock with only 25 seconds left in the half. And Paul Silas going to use that 20-second timeout to discuss this with the Cavaliers. Coming up on the Spitzer Dodge and Chrysler Jeep halftime report, everything you need to know about the first 24 minutes of basketball here at Air Canada Center. Andy Baskin will be by, of course, the numbers from the first half, and we'll bring you the highlights as well, as the Cavaliers have put up a terrific first 24 minutes of play. Cavaliers, what they've done, Matty, remember the beginning of the season when they could not buy a win on the road? They started 0-13 on the road. Now they've gone 10-10 in their last 20. Cavaliers haven't won more than 10 road games in the season since Mike Fratello took that Sean Kemp, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Brevin Knight team to the playoffs 6 seasons ago.
I don't like to oversimplify. That was a good team, and now this is a good team with the trades they've made, the personnel they've added. So when you have a good team, you're going to win your share on the road.
Well, you think about it, though. 0-13 to start the season. They got off the schneid before Christmas in Philadelphia and have gone 10-10 since. Kevin Ollie back at the floor. Way upstairs, Tony Battie. Battie had a hand on it, but that's it. Now with 4 left. Strickland will wrap around. And Donyell Marshall has crushed it with 3 seconds left.
Yeah, it's almost like the Cavaliers thought the game clock was going to wind down and really didn't get back in transition.
Tony Battie got it off. Didn't draw any rim, and that will end the first half of basketball. Cavaliers led by as many as 17. Zydrunas Ilgauskas, 9 of 11 from the floor. Carlos Boozer with an 8.9 rebound first half. Cavaliers with a 13-point advantage. Halftime, straight ahead for you. Frozen waters of the NHL. Tomorrow night, the Blue Jackets take on those Detroit Red Wings. Steve Yzerman and crew. All the coverage begins at 6:30 with Blue Jackets Icebreaker, and the puck drops about 7 o'clock. You can check out Blue Jackets hockey all year long right here, only on Fox Sports Net. Well, Paul Silas and his Cavaliers, it has been a time certainly to get hot, and that this ball club has done. Now, when this one ends tonight, the Cavaliers are going to get 3 days off, man. And for the first time this year, a little extended rest. They don't get back out until Sunday afternoon, and it starts a 5-game homestand. Cavaliers are going to be in Cleveland for 13 days before they head out on the road again. And here's the 5 ball clubs with Indiana and Detroit will be good tests in this Eastern Conference.
Good or bad? Now, when you're playing good basketball, and do you want to have, first of all, do you want to have 3 days off? The answer to that is no, because it takes a little while to get your timing back. Being at home, of course, always better to be at home, but not 5 in a row.
No?
No.
It'll be the second Cavalier 5-game homestand. You remember in late January, they went 4-1 in the last one. We start quarter number 3. Shot clock at 10. Michael Curry was trying to find his way to the bucket, and LeBron James had a leg extended and clip Curry on the way by. The foul is on LeBron. Number 2 on James.
Smart move by Kevin O'Neill, the Toronto Raptor coach, starting Rod Strickland, at least while he was on the floor. The Toronto Raptors looked like they had some semblance of order and some movement, and Rod, of course, passes the ball extremely well. I'm sure his teammates like playing with him because he will give it up.
Strickland standing right behind Strickland, the 2 Carolina guys, Vince Carter and Jeff McInnes. They've been telling some stories about Tobacco Road, I would assume. They were together before the game tonight.
Wonder if they're Tar Heels or what kind of seed they may get. How they may do in the tournament,
you're
in the ACC tournament.
You're going to be the seed master as LeBron James will come up firing, and James will drill that jumper. Well, LeBron meant he didn't get his first field goal make until halfway past the second quarter, and now he's got 11. Started 0 for 6. LeBron has hit 3 in a row. Michael Curry with Rod Strickland, Danielle Marshall. This is Vince Carter to step back, and they struck the 3.
It was good defense by the Cavaliers. Both Boozer and Eric Williams harassed Carter on that ball screen type of play. Carter's just got so much talent, able to step back and knock down that 3. It's not a high percentage shot, but he'll make you share of them.
That's Carter now with 10. Eric Williams low block. Michael Curry just shoved him right in front of Blaine Reichel. Out of bounds, off the leg of Michael Curry. It'll be the Cavaliers with only 5 on the shot clock.
Eric Williams looking around. I say, you kidding me? First I got shoved, then I got grabbed. Can a guy get a foul call?
Yeah, well, you know, that was
of course, Curry's laughing out there. That's what I do out here. I hit people.
Shot clock at 2. Zadrunas will fade away and got the side of the glass. The Toronto Raptors can get this deficit inside 10 on this trip to the offensive end. Bosch was thinking about it as Ilgauskas laid off him. Boozer to step out as Carter checks LeBron. Carter worked on LeBron James. And Michael Curry rattled down the jumper from the baseline.
Set up again on the 2-man play on the right side of the floor. I was a little surprised the Raptors didn't do more pick and roll type of situations in that first half. They started to do it when Rod Strickland came off the bench.
Cavalier laid down to 8. Finds Zadrunas Ilgauskas in the paint, and Z right there with that jump hook.
Well, he leaned back into Bosch. He wanted to feel some contact to know where he was on the floor. And so it looked like he may have jammed his thumb or something, grabbing his left hand. Z's in a little discomfort right now.
Zadrunas has 20 on 10 of 13 from the floor. Carlos Boozer has just snapped off his 10th rebound of the night. On the way to his 30th double-double of the year. McInnes delivering the floater. Jeff McInnes on the offensive glass. That didn't get the putback to go down. Strickland racing to the rim. Wouldn't fall for Strickland, but he got pushed by Zadrunas Ilgauskas. And that is going to be number 4 on Zadrunas.
So he has to be careful. He picked up a first half technical foul, arguing a call. Jeff McInnes on the penetration could not get back defensively. I thought both Carlos Boozer and Zadrunas Ilgauskas did a good job of getting back into the paint in transition, but that's just a clever play by a 16-year veteran, Rod Strickland, using his body to draw the foul.
Well, with 4 personal fouls, Tony Battie is going to have to check back in now for the Cavaliers. Strickland will try to cut this Cavalier lead down to 8. Our first look at what's transpiring in the Fleet Center tonight. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on all the pertinent numbers in the NBA. The LA Lakers are there and have a high-scoring game, have an 8-point halftime lead on Boston. That is without, of course, Kobe Bryant and Karl Malone.
Boston has caught fire, though.
6 in a row.
Beating Minnesota there the other night.
And we do understand that Kobe Bryant is playing on that one tonight.
Really?
I don't know how. But he said he's going to miss 3 weeks. Carlos Boozer creating space, a little bit too strong as he went glass.
Well, he had a separated shoulder or some such thing.
I did too. Strickland fell down, but had the presence of mind to save the basketball. This is Danielle Marshall. Curry's going to fire a 3. That could have cut the Cavalier lead down to 5.
Cavaliers have to be careful and get back to doing the things they were doing in the opening quarter of this game. Kind of got the feeling that the Cavaliers have the feeling that the Raptors just might fold their
go away.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that.
Toronto is on an 11-4 run as you just took a look at Kevin O'Neill. So right now, you would have to think the Cavaliers are going to go most, if not all, of this third quarter without Zydrunas Ilgauskas, who just picked up his 4th personal foul. LeBron James off the screen. Well, that's a difficult jumper as he was fading away. Rod Strickland looking at a post-up for Chris Bosh. That went away. Carter being checked by Williams and Boozer. Pick and roll with Bosh. Found Marshall inside. Marshall went off the glass, and this is a 6-point Cavalier lead.
Steady diet of pick and roll plays. Vince Carter mainly the guy with the ball using the screen, and he's been very creative, if not scoring himself. Cavaliers historically have had problems defending pick and rolls.
Jeff McGinnis came off that screen and fired from deep.
2 straight jumpers now, one by McGinnis, one by LeBron James. Got to punch the ball inside first.
Bosh to go glass. This is a 4-point Cavalier lead. Goes in a hurry. As the Cavaliers are led by as many as 17. However, their 15-point halftime lead is down to just 4 as Toronto has caught fire with this 15-4 spurt. Dallas had to get it stopped because of Toronto on this 15-4 run, so the Cavaliers lead at only 4. We take a look at our McDonald's. I'm loving it. Peek at the Cavaliers fast break.
Yeah, they were hard to come by early in the game because the Cavaliers were just launching jump shots but in good position to get back on defense. But first mistake they made, Jeff McGinnis taking advantage of it as Vince Carter made a defensive boo-boo.
All right, let's see what the Cavaliers get now with Tony Battee manning the middle. Ilgauskas having such a huge offensive game, but he's settled with foul problems tonight. LeBron James off the Carlos Boozer pick. James exploding with the left hand. Battee kept it alive. Left-handed put back from Tony Battee.
And for the most part, LeBron James has not really made Vince Carter work at the defensive end of the floor. It really hasn't been involved in the offense because it's been mostly Boozer and Ilgauskas early on.
Well, Vince Carter's so quick with that first step as he knifed his way by Eric Williams, who held Vince Carter. It's number 2 on Williams.
Yeah, on the one hand, if you're playing Vince Carter, you hope he doesn't take the ball to the basket. He's got so much ability. And on the other hand, a lot of times he doesn't like to go because he doesn't like the contact. Teams found out after about a year or so when Vince was in the league that if he took a hard hit, he'd lose his aggressiveness.
Carter 9th in the NBA in scoring. Closed captioning brought to you by our friends at Metro Health. Well, Vince Carter now with on the night 15 and looking for 16. And Carter, perfect 4 of 4 from the free throw line. He connects on a couple. And this is back to a 4-point Cavalier lead. Great to have you part of it tonight. Michael Roy Guy, Matt Dukas out of Air Canada Center on Fox Sports Net. Now Bosh on James. The rookies battling. LeBron wanted Battee inside. Tony Battee had it set right back at him. This crowd starting to get into it now at Air Canada Center. Strickland being harassed and harangued. This is Vince Carter. And 3 was offline. Battee trying to save and did before it went out of bounds.
Can I get it up?
Barely, huh? With that 8-second timeline.
A couple seconds left, but McGinnis was acting like he had plenty of time.
Now Carlos Boozer thinking about working over Bosh. Carlos going to the hole, and he will deliver. Strong move to the bucket for Boozer.
Well, after the timeout, Cavaliers have made a conscious effort, if not posting up, at least with the idea of take the ball to the basket. That's what was so good in the first half.
Carlos Boozer just wrapped up Vince Carter, who backdoored Eric Williams. As we go back to Carlos Boozer offensively.
The post feed, and Boozer pushed out pretty far, but does the wide thing, just eyeballs Chris Bosh on the face-up, knowing that he can either take that shot or overpower Chris Bosh to the basket. But, Michael, let me say this. Rod Strickland, starting this third quarter, has really done a nice job of directing traffic out there for the Raptors.
Huge difference, isn't it?
Oh, boy. And you can tell that his teammates realize that he's going to make things happen, and it's been a steady diet of 2-man plays on one side, making the defense react, and then getting an open shot on the weak side.
The Cavaliers last saw Rod Strickland back on February 27th when he wore the uniform of the Orlando Magic that night. At 8 points and 3 assists, Cavaliers won it in overtime.
And he did a reasonably good job for the Magic, but then eventually said, I want out of here. I want to go on a team that's got a chance to make the playoffs. And Orlando did not step in his way.
No, the Magic let him go before March 1st. Eric Williams misfiring on that deep jumper. Toronto can again cut into the Cavalier lead, which sits at 5 right now inside the halfway mark of quarter number 3. Boozer again will help LeBron James on Vince Carter. James had a hand on it. Shot clock at 6. Carter's heading to the rim. Donyell Marshall missed everything in the triple try. And that's a 24-second violation. Although Paul Silas not at all pleased with what he thought and the Cavaliers thought was a charge on Vince Carter. As James got decked.
Yeah, and the Cavaliers are starting to do this now as their lead is being eaten away at, starting to complain more and more to the officials. You just got to go about your business, play the game, and let those other things take care of itself.
Lee Nalon back on the floor. Paul Silas searching for a little offense here. Nalon, as a Cavalier, averaging 5 points, 3 boards. Tony Battie had jumper short, but look at Jeff McGinnis underneath the hoop on the left-handed putback.
Smart play by McGinnis. Once he was under there and the shot released, just muscled Rod Strickland inside to get the tip in.
Now LeBron James on Vince Carter. Got some help from Jeff McGinnis. Chris Bosh, right block. Bosh waiting for the traffic to sail by. Jump hook rattled out into the hands of Tony Battie. Cavaliers by 7, trying to build it back to 9, maybe to 10. Boozer wants a post up again against Bosh. Carlos again, wheeling in the paint. And raked away by Michael Curry, who dived down on Boozer. Never saw him coming.
No, don't really expect the double teams from Toronto.
Strickland had it rattle out, but Donyell Marshall all over the offensive glass. Donyell Marshall with 13 and 9. He is on the way to another double-double himself.
That 4th personal foul on Zydrunas Ilgauskas really taking its toll on the Cavaliers, missing his size inside right now, both ends.
LeBron James hanging in the air. And came up short. Strickland again will push it. Strickland all the way to the hoop with the left hand. Back down to a 3-point Cavalier lead. Toronto now making the Cavaliers pay as Strickland has got the Raptor transition game in strong presence.
Again, LeBron James not getting any calls at the offensive end. Can't worry about that. Must get back on defense to help out everybody else.
Jackie out of Twinsburg wants to know which teams do we see dropping out of the Eastern Conference playoff race. Matty, I'm not sure I see any dropping out. I thought Philadelphia myself was on the bump, but they've responded with 2 big wins without Allen Iverson.
Yeah, and no telling what they'll be when Allen comes back, Derek Coleman comes back. I think this Toronto Raptor team, Michael, they look like they have something nice going on in this game in their comeback, but they've got a very difficult schedule ahead of them. I think they are definitely one of the teams that will drop.
All right, don't forget you can text message Matt and myself on your Alltel wireless phone at Ask Fox Ohio or the number you saw on your screen. Lee Nalon will come up gunning. That goes down and 1. Nalon, he felt like he was going to get held, Matty. The shot looked unorthodox, but he said, I'm going to get it up to the rim.
Well, Michael Curry is just manhandling everybody that he defends. He's got the hand right on the wrist. Smart play by Nalon to just go right up through that arm of Michael Curry.
He had some problems handling the basketball the other night, so today at shoot-around, Paul Silas said to him, hey, Apple, when are you going to get your game in gear for me? Apple? Yeah, turnover. So, but Nalon smiled back at him. He said, I know all about Lee Nalon. Carlos Boozer had a strip. Cavaliers push it. That's LeBron James finishing on the good move inside for Jeff McGinnis.
And LeBron complaining that he get hit on the top of the head by Robert Archibald, but a nice delivery by Jeff McGinnis, waiting till just the exact moment to make that pass to LeBron for the catch and finish.
Now the Cavaliers just took it from 3 right up to 8. 5-0 mini run. Marshall will jab step Boozer. Donyell Marshall just missed everything on that jumper from about that foul line extended.
16 feet, 17 feet. If he's not at the 3-point line, he's not an effective jump shot. It's either the 3-point line or something around the hoop.
Cavaliers worked on that exclusively today at shoot-around. Getting out to Marshall. Now Lee Nalon wants an isolation against Michael Curry again. Nalon jab and step Curry. Fade away, tough jumper, came up short. Strickland tries to save, did not. Cavalier basketball with a new 24-second clock to work with.
Yeah, the Toronto bench a little upset that they got 24 seconds on that. And Blaine Reichelt's going to go over and talk to Ted Bernhardt and say, did Rod Strickland have possession when he went to the floor, or was the ball out of bounds? That's the question.
And this sure is Reichelt, Bernhardt, and Zach Zarba, the other official tonight. We haven't talked of Zach too often. The calls have all been made by Reichelt and Bernhardt. Carlos Boozer taking Robert Archibald right to school, and Boozer's going to get to the free throw line. He blew by Archibald like he was a statue.
Yeah, no way Archibald can step out on the floor and defend Carlos Boozer without giving him a jump shot. And you see just standing straight up, but Archibald's in there to just rail away at people, and I think he did hit LeBron James on that take to the basket before.
So Boozer at the free throw stripe, and of course Carlos, who's been sensational of late, his 30th double-double. Of course Boozer now with the 11 points and 11 boards as he split the pair of free throws. 30 double-doubles and 8 in the last 11. Of course, Cavaliers trying to go 9-2 in the last 11 and extend the win streak to 5. The lead is up to 9 again. Strickland, Cavaliers like it if he'll settle for the deep jumper. That was a brick from Rod Strickland. Now James off the Boozer pick. This is Jeff McGinnis. McGinnis will rock down the three. Jeff McGinnis with 11 to go along with 7 assists. 9-0 Cavalier run. Matty, in less than the last 2 minutes, sets the last Paul Silas timeout.
Well, a lot of it has to do with the defense of the Cavaliers in the half court, getting a hand up on the jump shooters, and they are putting up some ugly ones. Cavaliers now starting to get it going at the offensive end.
Lead balloons at 12. They'll go away. We'll come back with you to downtown Toronto. Today, Austin Carr, of course, number 34, celebrating his birthday. So happy birthday to AC. I think it's some anniversary of number 39. And Jackie Cronenberger of the Cavaliers executive offices and the wife of our graphics coordinator, Carl Cronenberger, also celebrating today. And ladies never tell, nor do they have to. So happy birthday to Jackie. And to Austin Carr. Cavaliers get a stop. Vince Carter, kind of a self-check, huh? Well, baseline and put it up on the underside.
Try to go reverse. Tony Battie certainly was in the neighborhood.
Carlos Boozer made the extra pass to Tony Battie underneath the hoop, and Battie is going to the free throw line on the foul on Morris Peterson. Let's take a look at our points in the paint, brought to you by Cintas, the uniform people. Once again, the Cavaliers doled out some punishment right from the beginning against Toronto.
And if it wasn't for Zydrunas Ilgauskas knocking down a number of jump shots in that first quarter, it would have been even more, because Cavaliers would have an offensive rebounding opportunity there. And the Cavaliers should overpower the Raptors in the paint.
And the Cavaliers tonight have now gotten 21 points and looking for 22 as Tony Battie will rattle the second down. So Battie on the night now has 6. 22 points, Matty, off the bench, which has been one of the largest outputs, quite frankly, in quite some time, even though the Cavaliers have won 8 of 10. It's Carter with that big step to the hole. Carter readjusted it, got it to fall.
And momentarily lost it, but so talented, so gifted, able to gather himself again, able to finish it off. Rod Strickland working on almost near empty there, needed a breather. So is that Roger Mason out on the floor now at the point guard spot.
Cavaliers lead is 12, and that foul. It's going to go on Robert Archibald. And the Cavaliers are going to get LeBron James at the free throw line, as now the Cavaliers have gotten Toronto over the limit here in quarter number 3. Cavaliers offensively tonight, 30-point first quarter, 30-point second quarter with the bench doing the work. And now, although Toronto made a push, the Cavaliers have extended this lead to 13 again, and maybe it could be 14 with James at the line.
Well, Toronto came out very smart in the third quarter, starting Strickland and ran just a steady diet of two-man plays and just played basketball, moved the ball, helped each other, got some good shots, and then the Cavaliers helped them out by settling for too many outside shots, but now have righted the ship here in the last few minutes.
LeBron James got hit with that Daniel Marshall pick. That's Vince Carter settling for the jumper. Lee Nalon up on the glass for the Cavaliers. Inside the 60-second mark at quarter number 3. Cavaliers with a big 9-0 run a couple of moments ago to build this lead once again. Ollie off the pick. Wanted to go to Boozer inside. Archibald had a hand on it. Roger Mason Jr., second year out of the Virginia Cavalier program. Played for Pete Gillen at Virginia. Mismatch Boozer now as Ollie's on Archibald. Gave it up to Daniel Marshall, who smashed it coming baseline.
A nice pass on the move from Robert Archibald. Most big men cannot do that. Once they put it on the floor, that's pretty much it. They're either going to have to shoot it or do something else, but very rarely do they make the nice assist pass like that.
All right, Cavaliers want to use it all now. LeBron James against Mo Pete. Peterson stripped him, 2 seconds left. And that is going to end quarter number 3 without a shot being delivered. Well, the Cavaliers did not get a shot attempt as Morris Peterson slapped it away from LeBron James. All right, 36 minutes in the books. Fourth quarter winning time is next. Cavaliers by 11. Away from Gundarina.
And Zydrunas Ilgauskas back in to start this fourth quarter with 4 personal fouls.
Cavaliers will go right to Z, low left block. And that was going to be a 3-second violation as Chris Bosh did not go for the Ilgauskas up fake.
Yeah, I think what Z was thinking about doing, trying to get Bosh up in the air and then lean in to draw a foul, wisely thought better of that. Z can't afford to pick up a cheapie on an offensive foul in that type of situation.
4 members of Paul Silas's bench with Zydrunas Ilgauskas on the floor. Vince Carter trying to trigger that 3. Now to Juan Wagner. Juan, who had 7 points on 3 of 4 from the floor and 3 assists in his 8 minutes of work in the first half. Isolated against Morris Peterson. Wagner had to pick up the dribble. Kevin Ollie. Ilgauskas from deep. Got it. Zydrunas continuing to spray those long-range J's.
Shot clock winding down. Thought it was a little outside Z's range. Now defensively, you got to be very much aware of Vince Carter. A little early in the fourth quarter, but once you get down to about that 6-7 minute mark, he really tries to take over.
Chris Bosh just missed everything over the top of Ilgauskas. Ollie will push it before he got shut off by Roger Mason. Cavaliers by 13. 90 seconds into the third quarter. Nalon from the baseline. That's triple shooting for Lee Nalon as he'll fire home the jumper.
Oh, what a beautiful redirection by Zydrunas Ilgauskas as they tried high-low and he was covered and just directed that pass out to the open Lee Nalon. Nice job by Z.
He's rather cerebral on the offensive end. The Vince Carter float didn't go down. That's Jerome Moiso on the putback for Toronto.
Well, everybody's so aware of Carter now, knows what he likes to do in this fourth quarter. He's going to get the attention of the Cavalier defenders. It will open up some opportunities for his teammates.
Tony Battie, face-up jumper, ring it. Tony Battie with 8 off the bench tonight. Battie with 7 boards as well. Gone 23 minutes this evening, Matty.
And doing a nice job playing both backup center and back up to Carlos Boozer at the 4 spot.
Lee Nalon will reach in a little too aggressively on Vince Carter. Let's take a look at our Continental third quarter numbers. It'll show you that the Cavaliers continuing to shoot it above 50% here on the road and, as always, out rebounding the opposition. Yeah. Well, the lead is 15. You hear Paul Silas debating it with Ted Bernhard right in front of us. Not Dion Glover, the former Atlanta Hawk, against Nalon. Teammates earlier in the year. Shot clock at 4. Well, Glover's got to get something started. Mason will force Kevin Ollie to run it down.
Kevin O'Neal, the coach of Toronto, knows he's got to get Vince Carter a couple of minutes breather. Because right now, with Carter out getting that rest, there's not a lot of firepower for the Raptors out on the floor. Good opportunity for the Cavs to lengthen their lead.
Zydrunas Ilgauskas wanted to power that down as he stepped to the rim, and that Toronto foul will go on Jerome Moiso on the hold. We're going to get our look at Z going to the rim.
Carter got caught on the top side. First of all, trying to push Z farther out on the floor, and then try to get around in front, and just couldn't get around the big body of Zydrunas Ilgauskas. Chris Bosh has been asked to do a lot of difficult work this season playing center. His body is just not made for that, although he's very long at 6'10". Just does not have the bulk.
Zydrunas Ilgauskas, how about this the last couple of nights? He went 9 of 12 from the floor in Atlanta for his 20-point effort. Zydrunas 11 of 14 tonight. To me, that looks like 20 of his last 26 from the floor.
That'll get that field goal percentage up over 50%, where really it should be for a guy of Z's ability.
And really playing the type of defense now that Paul Silas wants. Kevin Ollie just blew into Roger Mason Jr., and Mason is going to shoot it 3 times as he was trying to alter that face-up 3. All right, we've got a timeout first. Cavaliers match their biggest lead of the night. It's 17.
Just getting better and better at playing with one another, knowing where each other are on the floor, and passing the ball well to each other from time to time.
Partner, is that what you see as the biggest difference in the Cavaliers? And we talked about it extensively in the open. They're 14-8, maybe to go to 15-8 with Jeff McGinnis running the point. But other than that, is there anything other than that you could pinpoint on why this club has taken off?
Jeff McGinnis has done a fabulous job too, and the turnovers or lack thereof, taking great care of the ball. When you do that and shoot a reasonably high percentage, you give yourself a chance every night.
Cavaliers do miscue there as Tony Battie and Zydrunas Ilgauskas wanted to play top to bottom for the big man. Jeff McGinnis ready to check back in after his respite. This is Morris Peterson. Flung it up on the glass as he was being engulfed by Cavalier wine and gold on his way to the hoop. DeJuan Wagner off the bounce. Wrapped around, somehow found Ilgauskas, and Zydrunas will finish strong.
That's a tough pass for most big men to handle down below the waist there. And a kind of a blind pass on the wraparound, but Z, terrific hands and the finish.
You were mentioning a moment ago that in the air touch redirection pass he made. Tremendous hands, tremendous footwork from Zydrunas.
You know, if Z ever really wanted to be a passer in the low post too, it could be Arvydas Sabonis,
his idol, right?
Fellow countryman, like.
That was his idol growing up in Lithuania.
But more a scorer than a passer than Arvydas.
Chris Bosh rolled up the jump hook, but the putback was cleaned up by Jerome Moiso. Moiso with a couple of field goal hits. 7.5 left in it. Cavaliers with a healthy 14-point lead. Right now, they'd be content to trade hoops with Toronto for a while. Ilgauskas to raise up. First perimeter jumper Z's misfired on tonight. It was 12 for 16 shooting effort. Crossover Dion Glover. Glover tried to force. Ilgauskas stood vertical.
Yes, he did, and kept straight up to avoid that 5th foul.
Tony Battie to lift it. Roger Mason continuing to get the point guard minutes here for Kevin O'Neal. Looking down to Rod Strickland. Mason misfiring on the 3. Cavaliers love that. Again, it's shoot around today. Anybody but Daniel Marshall they encourage from the deep jumpers for Toronto.
Carter up off the Toronto bench as Kevin O'Neal tried to get him a couple of minutes breather for one more run.
Now Tony Battie, shot clock at 3. Battie off the head fake. Rolled up that hook that got a little bit of the rim. The 24-second clock was expiring. Just really burned another minute with no one getting on the board. LeBron James, Carlos Boozer ready to check back in to kind of finish this one off for the wine and gold. Moiso showed it on Ilgauskas and then went high off that window.
Tony Battie coming over to try to help out, but once again, Z showing wise restraint there to not pick up that foul, just challenge the shot.
All right, Paul Silas to talk about it with his Cavaliers. The lead is a dozen. We'll be right back to Air Canada Center on Fox Sports Net. Zydrunas Ilgauskas will get to the free throw line on that Lob look from Lee Nalon down in the paint. Morris Peterson on the hold as we take a look at our Geico Direct moment tonight. And Maddie, I'm sure you've said this 1,000 times in your coaching career. That's a refrain of head coaches in the late stages of the season.
No, never complained about injuries, but he does have some key ones. Jalen Rose, who would make a big difference because, in effect, he was their point guard, and also Alvin Williams, such a key player for them. It's two important guys, but the Toronto Raptors just do not have the inside muscle to, I don't think, to carry it through this year and make a playoff spot.
So Brutus Ilgauskas with a couple of free throw makes. Z with 28 tonight, leading everybody. Ilgauskas came out hitting his first 7 shots of the evening. Now Rod Strickland back. The Cavalier lead at 14. One last push. Does Toronto have it in him? Morris Peterson to hoist. It's too strong. Ilgauskas sealed Moiso off the glass.
He was a hot topic of trade rumors in the first third of this season, really first half of the season. But he has really been extremely inconsistent for the Raptors, as far as Peterson.
Ilgauskas, mid-left block. McGinnis gave it up. Pick and fade for Zydrunas. Moiso to collect the Ilgauskas missed jumper. Inside the 5-minute mark now with the Cavaliers by 14. Rod Strickland operating with Vince Carter. Strickland will hoist from deep. And again, the Cavaliers would love that if this backcourt wants it for Toronto. Carlos Boozer setting sail to the rim. Put back from Lee Nalon with the left hand. Nalon has been strong tonight. He's got 8 off the bench. Yeah, and this crowd really letting the Raptors have it.
Yeah, and rightly so. That was a bad shot by Rod Strickland. Picked up on a switch by Carlos Boozer. Should have been able to turn something up or at least try to get Vince Carter involved offensively.
Cavaliers lead is 16. We'll come back and tell you more in a moment. Vince Carter has just left. It looked like he maybe took a shot on that drive to the hoop from Carlos Boozer. Kick ball, it'll stay with Toronto. Matty, let's go back to this as Boozer went to the bucket.
Yeah, was given a pass in an uncomfortable position, trying to avoid contact here. I thought Carlos Boozer could try to shy away, but threw out that left arm. And then he got hit on the other side by, I think it was Lee Nalon. So like a pinball there, Vince Carter, and he'll go to the Toronto Raptors locker room.
Well, Strickland just threw it off to Daniel Marshall, who got it up in the glass. It went for Marshall with a Carlos Boozer foul, and on Boozer, that is going to be his second personal foul.
Number 1, Carlos Boozer, his second.
Daniel Marshall with a 17-point night. He's been averaging a double-double since he's put on the Raptor purple, and he's there again tonight with the 17 points and 12 rebounds. Carlos Boozer leading everybody on the rebounding side with 13 caroms tonight. Well, Marshall completing the 3-point trip. Cavalier lead is 13 as we approach the 4-minute mark. Ilgauskas again against Bosch. No help coming. Now it does. Nalon from deep, and he got it. Lee Nalon is shooting it. Paul Silas looks at us and said, I like that.
Yeah, well, you know, Lee Nalon, obviously he's a small forward, a tall one. Not a two-guard that shoots from three-point range, but he is a very good middle-distance jump shooter, and he's a good scorer.
Strickland firing another jumper that's too strong. Lee Nalon tonight, 5 of 7 from the floor for his 11 points, and the Cavaliers are shooting 52% here on the road against Toronto. Ilgauskas will step inside, and Z will muscle it up and down. Zydrunas with 30 on the night.
Every time Z has walked his defender, Chris Bosch, up the lane, he has gotten the ball in great position to finish off with the basket.
Off the Chris Bosch miss, Cavaliers are bursting out again. Jeff McGinnis gave it up to Ilgauskas, who gave it up to Nalon. And Lee's going to get to the free throw line for the Cavaliers. Why we have a second, Matty, let's look what this win streak has done for the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference and to show you some of their head-to-head against the opposition. There it is. Now on the left side is what the Cavaliers are in the season series matchups against these teams. the good, 3-0 against the New York Knicks and 3-0 against Philadelphia, have lost the season series with Boston. But Matty, that conference record's very important if there is a three-way tie for a particular playoff spot.
And you already see the Cavaliers with a better than 500 record in that area with 22 wins, but with 6 teams vying for the last 3 spots in the Eastern Conference, it would not be shocking at all to see a tie or a 3-way tie at the bottom there, or maybe even a 4-way tie.
And that's why the conference records are so vital. That is the tie break after if you have a 3-way tie for one of those final playoff spots. Here comes Sagana Job to check in with this one well in hand. Zydrunas Ilgauskas will get the respite, and what a night for the man in the middle. 13 of 18 from the floor, 30 points for Z. They go along with 6 rebounds. And remember, Maddie, we told you at the top of the show, when Zydrunas in these last 22 games with Jeff McGinnis has been averaging now better than 20 points per game.
And doing the other things, rebounding, blocking shots, being a presence in the lane, all the things Z is capable of doing. And there are not many teams in the Eastern Conference that can match what Zydrunas Ilgauskas can give the Cavaliers.
Absolutely not. Former Cavalier Lamond Murray on the floor for the first time tonight as Dion Glover connects on the jumper. Lamond Murray, who averaged 15.5 points a game in his 3 years as a Cavalier with a career best of almost 17 a game. And that 1 year he and Wes Person and Andre Miller had with John Lucas. Jeff McGinnis will use the Sagana Job pick. McGinnis too strong.
And it was really Andre Miller who created so many good shot opportunities for both Wes Person and Lamond Murray.
Robert Archibald tried to follow up the Roger Mason miss. Now DeJuan Wagner bouncing out. Wani with a look-off. Went to the hoop and Moiso got a swat at it. Numbers, 3-on-1 Toronto. Roger Mason didn't get the reverse, but he will go to the free throw line.
Yeah. Now, DeJuan Wagner, you want him to be aggressive. He's a scoring guard out there, but you got to know time and score. Got to know the situation. Approaching the 2-minute mark, up by 17. That was not a clear-cut fast break opportunity. That's when you got to be smart. Pull it back out, chew up 20 seconds. And that's what I think I think Paul Silas is in a good-natured way, letting DeJuan Wagner know there's a time to go and there's a time to pull back.
Roger Mason splitting the pair. And there you see at the end of 3, the LA Lakers with an 8-point lead over Boston. And Cavaliers, they are on their way now inside the 2-minute mark to going to 29-36. A Boston loss in the Fleet Center will tie the Cavaliers with the New York Knicks for the 6th spot, and Lee Malon continues to deliver.
Is the 5 spot totally out of? No, it's not out of reach.
New Orleans got 30 losses, and the Cavaliers in New York.
New Orleans is dropping.
There they are.
Quickly.
Yeah.
And now Jamal Mashburn's going to be out for
3 weeks.
Yep.
So they say. Lamond Murray took it strong off the glass, and Murray got the pass from Robert Archibald.
Well, it's like Kobe Bryant's 3 weeks turns into about 4 days. Jamal Mashburn's 3 weeks turns into 8 weeks.
Maybe season-ending then is what you're saying.
8 months.
DeJuan Wagner now with 1:20 left. Well, the Cavaliers are going to win their 5th straight, but that's a rip away from Dion Glover. Mason will streak to the hoop. Now the cleanup time here, and this is going to make the final tally a little bit closer than how the Cavaliers. Manny was 70-67. Toronto was making a run, and then the Cavaliers hit Toronto with a 9-0 run. And that put the Raptors away tonight. And Toronto would outscore the Cavaliers 15-4. Inside the minute mark, Kevin Ollie's going to step back. Ollie hit 2 key jumpers, though, off the bench in that second quarter with DeJuan Wagner and Lee Malon and Tony Battie on the floor.
Which had to make Kevin Ollie feel a lot better. Again, he does not get many shot opportunities while he's out on the floor. And
Robert Archibald missing with the left hand. Archibald forced it up and down. Now the Cavaliers said it a little bit earlier in the second half. For the first time in 3 basketball seasons, the Cavaliers will have achieved a 5-game winning streak. DeJuan Wagner's runner. Ring it up from Wani. He's had that with a touch in a good flow tonight. 9 for Wagner. His best scoring output going back almost 2 weeks. Now the Cavaliers with all the glad hands on that bench as they've come to Toronto and gotten what they've wanted. Their 29th win of the year. And let's book this one to LeBron James in the wine and gold. The 11 road wins, the most for the Cavaliers since that 47-win season of 97-98.
And, Michael, I think the Cavaliers playing with so much confidence right now, I think they feel they can beat any team in this league, home or away.
They are showing that indeed. 5 in a row, 9-2 in the last 11. And if Boston loses...